Hello you guys, and welcome back to another video. This video is about covering the composition book that I am starting. So I'm going to be doing something completely a little different, not completely different, just a little different. And so I'm going to be taking you guys along with me. So again, if it is what it is, because I haven't really done this, but I've thought about it. Does that make sense? So if you watched my previous video, I put together the insides of my journal. This is actually going to be my May daily excuse me, it's early in the morning, but this is going to be my daily, oh my gosh, my brain is not working. Okay, it's an alter composition book, and it's going to be my daily creative journal. That's it, daily creative journal. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm kind of scattered today, but we're going to get after this, and we're going to make this work, and it's going to be beautiful. So backing up a little bit, as I mentioned in my previous video, this is material that I bought probably like, oh my goodness, I would say almost, it might have been 4 or 5 years ago, when I first came to close to the little town that I live by. They're a big quilting community, and and so they have a lot of like quilt barns and things like that, and this was one of the material that I found, and I thought it was just so pretty. So I found it in my stash, and I thought, okay, time to use it, because I'll tell you why in just a minute while I'm cutting this. And now last month I also did kind of a fabric cover, and I loved it. And I love the fact that I know that I was kind of introduced with this whole slow stitching, which, you know, I know that as a crafter I've done that before. I used to embroidery when I was young, way younger, and I love it. I mean, I love being creative, and luckily, watch my coffee, don't want to get it. Luckily though, with junk journaling, anything goes. I mean, so it's not, if you miss a stitch up or something like that, it's traumatic. You just go with it, you know. And it just kind of opens up a whole big options. And we'll trim it up a little bit better once we get it onto our book. So, which backs up a little bit when I said the reason I'm going to use this is because I found this and while I was out junking in Warrington, and it is so pretty. It kind of reminds me of summer/fall, but it's like a table piece, but it's got lots of stains on it. There's some molding action that happened here, but I'm going to actually cut this out and repurpose it and put it onto my journal. So I don't know exactly how. This is the tricky part for me, because I don't want to mess up the stitching to the point where I can't use it. Here we go. We're cutting. I don't want to mess up the stitching to the point where I can't use it, but then at the same time I want to, you know, be able to put it on my journal and use as much as I can of it. I'm going to be saving the other part for future journal uses. So I'm really just kind of cutting out the big form of the flower here. And I'm actually going to be slow stitching it onto this pretty sunflower material. So again, cutting through the stitch area here was what kind of makes me nervous, because the stitches can start to unravel. So I'm going to put this other part over here and tuck it away and see what we got. So again, I'm going to keep my book here just for a minute. Last month I actually put like a piece of felt under here, just to give it a little bit more fluff, you know, softness, and make it a little bit more sturdy, because this material is not exactly the sturdiest because, you know, it's material. But I think with this on top, I'll be able to glue it down pretty good. So, okay, so we're left with this, right? And I think my idea is to kind of go, let's see how this little area did with when it didn't unravel too bad. So I think I'm going to cut this right here. And I didn't have I could not buy my fabric scissors. Which, oops, I'm cutting some of this fabric. So that was kind of a weird thing. This morning I was like, well, these were the sharpest scissors I had. I use my scissors for everything, so. Okay, and then I think what I'm going to do is, so I really want to make sure I do show some of my material back underneath. I'm just trying to get a feel for the size that I need for my journal top. And again, I plan to save whatever pieces I don't use, and I can always like cut these out and use them later on. So okay, so we've kind of got a basis here. So now what I'm going to do is, again, I want to use just really the flowers, and I get rid of that kind of, even though I washed this, I'm going to kind of do like a little fussy cut around here. But as I was saying, even though I washed this and the mold doesn't really bother me too much, I do want to get it where I can just cut out the flower, and that will eliminate some of that mold. Yeah, so if you missed my last video, I was talking about when we went to Warrington. This is the kind of places that I love to stumble upon. Is basically, she had these brown paper bags, and she was like, had these like buckets of like material and buckets of like different papers, and she said, okay, if you fill up your paper bag, it's $5, or you have a $3 bag, or you have a $1 bag. And so you can stuff it as much as you want, and that's what me and my friend did. She helped me like stuff it, and this was one of the pieces in there. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of do somewhat of a fussy cut around this. Like that. And then we're going to sew it onto the front here. Now typically with my art pieces, my journal covers, I like to add a piece of my art, you know. It has, you know, I'm like, well, I want to have some of my art on the front. So I think what I'm going to do, and this one, what's cool about this flower is I feel like I can actually wrap it around. See, and that would be also part of it. And again, we're going to try to piece that. And so I still have, like, the last time we played with this, I printed this out on canvas paper. These are some of the art prints that I have available to print out in my shop. And this girl is Tisket a Tasket. This was a kit that I had, oh man, many years ago. And she's just adorable. She's green, you know, the childhood poem, a tisket, a tasket, a green and yellow basket. And she was green and yellow, and so I thought about adding her to the front here like that. So the next step, what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of tack this into place with some glue. Just so I know where I'm going to be sewing at. Now if you had a machine, a sewing machine, this would be awesome to be able to use on. And I'm just going to tack this down, but I'm going to actually be slow stitching this on. And I'm going to do it off camera just because I know how it's probably going to take a little bit of while. So I'm just going to tack this down to where I want it, and that way it doesn't move. Sorry, that's a little off camera. Okay. That's going to loop around as well. The only issue that I see is when I put this on my shelf, I like to write on the seams, like, I have an idea. I think what I could do, basically stepping back a little bit, I like to write on the seams here the date and the year, so I know when it's on my shelf I can look at the spine. And now it's tacked down just a tad. But I could actually cut a piece of like canvas, like material, and like either write the date or stamp the date and then like somehow glue it onto the spine. So I think that's my idea of what I'm going to do. I don't know whether I want to keep this white trim around here. The more I look at it, I kind of want it to be just the color. And this canvas paper is really cool because you can literally run it through your printer. I get lots of questions about what kind of printer I have. You know what, let me tack her down because I know I don't want it coming off the edges here either. And I'll try to remember to leave that link below. I need to put that in every one of my videos because I use my printer a lot. And I love my printer, because I print out all my little sticker paper and okay. So this just kind of is going to hold her in place so I know where she's going to go on this. Ooh, that glue is strong. My nose just went eek. Okay, so I'm going to start to show you how I'm going to slow stitch, and then I'll finish it up off camera. So, because it's going to take me at least 20 minutes maybe, and I know that you guys don't want to watch me. I could fill it with stories if you wanted me to. But so I'm going to go up through here. Okay, so I took one of my wide needles that I got in my bookbinding kit, and I ran actual just plain Jane yellow yarn through it, and I tied a knot. Actually, let me tie another knot. I think it was going to hold it, but if not, I'll have to stop halfway through. But I'm going to tie a knot so that it'll stop underneath here. And then I ran it just like you would in embroidery. I ran it about, I don't know, 6 inches on the other side. So I'm going to come up through the back. I'm going to start here. And I'm going to do this very loosey-goosey. No, just to show a slow stitch through here. And you could go either like this. I think, I don't know, let me think here. I could either go where it's long stitches around, which is probably what I'll do. Like come in here and do a long, let me show you. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to push it back through. And see how it does that little stitch there, and then I'll come up. I actually thought about doing like a crisscross here. We'll do one and see what it looks like, because maybe we should do that to really hold this down onto the material. And what I mean by crisscross is bringing it where it comes up through the actual canvas or the topper and down through just the material. And that actually may be a better idea, yeah, to actually hold it together. So let's do that again. I'll bring it up through this other side. And actually probably what I should have done was really glue down. And that's what we're just coming up through the up, down. And then I'm going to push it over to where it's actually going to be holding down that topper. Just like that. So instead of going longwise, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then what I might need to do, I'll show you after we're said and done. I'm just going to come up through the back and come back over like that. And down. And that way I'm just tacking it onto the surface. But what I was talking about, like, see, like this is coming up. What I might do is come in here with some fabric glue and just squirt a little bit in there and cut and use it as a, wherever I can't, you know, like example, like right here, I can just come in and glue those edges down. And if I wanted to and I didn't want to stitch, I didn't have to, but I love the way it looks. I might have chosen a different color, but we're going to go with this because it is we're on our way now. So, come up and down. And so I'm going to do that all the way around this piece. Okay, and then I will come back and show you guys the next step. Alright, you guys, we're back and I have it all stitched up. I stitched in, I actually ended up doing the longer stitches around the edges of this. It seemed like it was holding it down better and actually using less thread and going faster. So, and I also did the cross stitches on the actual art piece. So let's go ahead and glue this down. And I'm going to use this 3-in-1. It seems to be doing the trick here on this particular page. And then, or a particular book, I've been using it. And I noticed that it doesn't really say fabric, but I think it's like an overall, it does it all, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put a generous amount all over the cover of my journal and really concentrating on those edges. And the other thing is I wanted to go ahead and create a closure for the journal. I didn't do that in my last journal, but it's something that you can always add later. And what I mean by closure is something that I can tie and create a, basically as the journal gets puffier and puffier. I'm just going to stretch this out here. Then we can tie it and it travels much better if you're going to be traveling with your journal. I'm just going to kind of press these out. Again, just start adding glue where you feel like I missed. The other thing I've done in the past, you know, I really need to set up my sewing machine in my art room. I did before, but it's just not a whole lot of, you know, I'm constantly trying to make it better, and I need to like create a space that I can add add my art. I mean, add the sewing machine. I was just looking around and there's a lot of paint, and I hope to, the second half of this year, really start painting again. I feel like I'm missing out. I haven't done a canvas in forever, you guys, and I miss it. I work in my sketchbook, but I don't actually create like a canvas using all the things, and so that is something I want to work on this year. Things should start settling down soon. Okay, so let's fold it over and pull it, stretch it out here. This is actually where my little rolly thingy will come in handy as well. Kind of roll those, creating a smooth surface, and I can feel the glue somewhat coming through the material. Maybe not. Maybe it just feels cold because against my hand. There, it looks so cute. So I noticed up here, let's open it up so I can show you guys too. When I did my edges, but I sewed there, so I'm not going to want to cut that edge. But I think on this particular one, it may be a little more. I think I'm going to keep a little bit of an edge around. And the other thing I thought about I could do, if I feel up to it, you know, this is a junk journal. It doesn't have to be perfect, perfect edges, is I could go through and like, well, somewhat perfect edges. I don't want it to be just like total crooked, but you know, I could come in here. Just concentrate for a minute there. There's another little edge that's looks strange. But I could come in here and like actually like punch holes and then do a stitch around the edging as well. You know, that could be an option. But after I start fluffing this journal up, it's all going to kind of, I feel like it's all going to work together. So let me go ahead and trim this edge here. There we go. I do want to round it a little bit here. Or what I was saying is with the sewing machine, when I was in Kansas last year, when I made my first material cover, I don't want to trim off too much because like I said, I don't want to cut what I just sewed, the stitching that I just sewed. So what I did last year, that was when I first was introduced to adding material covers, and by the Cuttin' Cuties, Fussy Cuttin' Cuties, is you could, what was the word I was looking for? Oh, is take the sewing machine and actually like sew it with the sewing machine. That would work too. And that might be something I do coming up. But let's go ahead and create a closure. I'm hoping that this crocodile will cut through on here. So let's cross our fingers. You guys ready? I'm thinking that these, I don't have the size on here. Let's see, what do they look like? I think they might be the smaller ones. If not, we'll come in and do a larger. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Punch. Oh, that was easy. No problem. Let's see. Okay, we need the bigger one. Make sure I'm all lined up here. Okay. And have this go through. And then we will smash it with this. I love putting eyelets on things. I don't use them as much as I have in the past, but perfect. Okay. So let's do the next one. Let's see if we can get it lined up pretty close. Probably glued some pages together. It looks like a lot of pages. Not to worry, we will get them, we will pull them off before they dry. Oh yeah, we did. Oh, okay, yeah we did. Let's trim, let's go and trim these edges. I didn't realize. I'm gonna have to find my scissors, my material scissors. Actually, to be honest with you, I started cutting paper with them. I know, but they were the one scissors I could find, and I'd be like, oh, just this once or twice. So I really need to just invest in some new scissors and literally say, go find other scissors. Do not punch a hole in them. Okay, so I'm gonna say, just looking at this and kind of estimating. Let's see, right there. Put the eyelet through. Flip this over. And then holding it down. Little off, but it will work. And then I'm going to take, I got this ribbon at a Happy Mail, and I think about, I like to have a good amount to do a bow. Maybe a little more. I can always cut it off. So I'm going to do it even on both sides. And then, actually, to be honest, I could have cut this in half, but let's see if I can push it through this hole. I might need to make a little diagonal cut just to be able to fit it through that eyelet, because that eyelet is very, very small. I can always put masking tape on the end as well. I think if I get it started, it will work. Let's see how this looks. It will stay too. I don't really want to do a double knot because I think that knot would just be so big. So, if all else, I hope my head's not getting in the way, you guys. I have the camera up a little ways because I wanted to have more of a larger surface area to film. But sometimes I lean over and my top of my head gets in the way. But I wanted to, if it starts undoing the knot, what I can do is just squirt a little bit of glue in that knot, and that would hold it as well. I kind of like the little fluffy on the end too. There, let's see what kind of bow it'll make. Ta-da! And then, to personalize it a little bit more, that's sweet. I guess it looks okay with that other piece right here. Especially as it gets fluffy. But I think what I can do is, I saw this where we could take a piece of like this canvas. I should have did this prior, but we can, and like put my name right here and glue it down. And actually what I could do is kind of sew some stitching on it. I'm not going to do that today, but I can add some stitching on it and punch my because my stamps are packed for the Nancy Drew retreat coming up, so I could go in there. Oh look, these are my eyelets I was looking for. I clean a space off and I find something. But I mean, you could eventually start adding more stuff on here. I don't know, maybe that white, it's kind of starky white, right? But I could put my name and do some stitching and then glue it down. So I'm going to save that aside because that's probably what I'll end up doing. Alright, you guys, I did it. We did it. I hope you're inspired. Anything goes, you guys. Anything. It's your journal. There's no rules. You can play and add and do. You can see how I punched a bunch of buttons out, and I had almost thought about putting a couple buttons on here. I've also have some old pins, but the thing with the pins is it adds bulk when you turn it over, so I didn't end up doing that. You could add more ribbon to go around. I mean, as you play in your journal more and more, that actually, kind of lightens it up a little bit. But like I said, I want to kind of put my name. So yeah, play. You could do some stitching around here. So I'm ready for May. Yay, I'm excited. Alright, you guys, I hope you're inspired. And as always, have a super sparkly day. Bye-bye.